Georgetown County, and you hear bits and pieces about corruption that's going on everywhere. But once you get involved in politics, you really start finding out and understanding what's going on and who some of the key players are. For example, we have a problem in Horry County with Bike Week. We have someone that says they created jobs, but I've got a sheet right here that can tell you that Horry County is suffering because vendor permits are not allowed. Horry County is losing over $500,000 a year because vendor permits are not allowed. Guess what happens? The taxes go up for the taxpayers. We have people that are suffering. There's an article here in the Myrtle Beach Herald, and they're talking about for county council, they're not able to hire police officers. They're not able to hire librarians. You've got sex offenders that are out there. They can't even hire a deputy to cover the sex offenders that are out there right now. And all of that could have been solved with $500,000 brought in by vendor permits. That doesn't even touch the tax revenue that could have been brought in. Then you talk about insider trading. When you've got Chad up here, nice guy, but you've got Delinda Riddings, who's the secretary for the Republican Party of South Carolina, an elected official working as a paid employee on his campaign. People, you've got corruption in the government today. It doesn't matter if you're in Texas, South Carolina, or Kansas City, Missouri. It's here, and you need somebody that will stand up, take control, and represent the people.
Mr. Wallace, under current law, we limit the amount of money an individual can contribute. We let movie stars, unions, and big business, through their leadership, unequal access to political candidates and officials. What is your position on campaign contribution limits by individuals and campaign finance reform?
We got the Supreme Court ruled that folks that organizations could give money to you. I think it's like $2,500 in our race. And it's free speech that you're allowed to contribute to campaigns. The biggest problem that I've got with the law as it sits now, where you can set up these super PACs, is that you can give unlimited money to those groups, then they can come out and attack the candidate. And the candidate that they're kind of working with, even though the law says they're not supposed to be together on it, can stand there and say, I have nothing to do with these real big, serious attack ads that are being run. So in my opinion, I would feel more comfortable if the law basically allowed people or corporations to give money directly to the candidate, so the candidate is directly responsible for the message that he sends out. Because that's what I think is the biggest flaw in the way that the system is set up now, is this ability, like I say, for another group to claim that they're not involved with the candidate, but to turn around and attack people, and then the candidate can say, hey, I didn't have anything to do with it. You need to be responsible for the message that you're sending, for the attack ads that you place on an opponent, and then maybe we could have a situation where a candidate can get his message out. He wants to talk to people, about the things that he wants to do, like, addressing the crises that the country faces, and making his case to the public.
Mel Pennington.
Just want to say first, thank you all for inviting me over here. To know that I got to sit here instead of Representative Alan Clemens is quite an honor, because I know that he's a tough person to beat out of here. As a young mayor, Mr. Jordan, and you are a young man entering into politics for the first time, I face a lot of trials and tribulations as far as folks asking what I'm qualified to do and what makes me more qualified than some of my seniors. And so I would ask you, at the age of 31, having never held public office, what do you feel makes you qualified over some of your senior members that maybe have had a tenure in public office?
Well, you missed my birthday, Mel. I turned 32 a few months back.
I don't know about you, but where I come from, if you don't invite the mayor of Hartsville to your birthday, that's...
I missed out on a good present, I can only say that. Serving in Congress or in politics is the one thing, especially in Washington, that I can honestly say I think experience is a bad thing. It's experienced politicians that have led us to the edge of the cliff in our country. They're the ones that have violated the most basic of economic principles, that have stepped on freedom over and over and over again, all in the cause of re-election and furthering their own individual goals. I am 32 years old, and I can tell you there are some good things and bad things about that. I have a wonderful family, 3 young children. I'm doing this largely in part for them. Is it an ideal time? Absolutely not. I don't think there's ever an ideal time to take on a challenge like this. But I feel so strongly that we are at a tipping point in this country. And if we don't act right now, we could lose what our country, the spirit of our country forever and never get it back. Am I young? Yes. I've even been called naive, I'm so young, but I'm young enough to believe that we can actually accomplish some of the things we set out to turn our country around. I believe when I say we can impose term limits in Congress, because we can affect change by sending new folks to Washington that don't look at it as a career and a way to get rich, but a way to affect change and to really make it a meaningful service in Washington. Not a career, but a service. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity, and I believe I'm ready for that challenge.
This question is for former Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer. A lot of people said after you were out of office that the reason why you came to Myrtle Beach was specifically to run for the 7th Congressional District seat, which was, the writing was on the wall that was going to be drawn. Would you be living in this area right now if there wasn't a 7th Congressional District?
I'm glad you asked that question. Mayor, I got a birthday coming up, by the way. Actually, this district wasn't drawn. Charleston fought for this district. Berkeley County fought for this district. Larry Grooms, Representative Clemens will tell you, fought very hard. It was thought for a while, but actually go down there and Myrtle Beach wouldn't even be in it. Yes, I would live here regardless of whether it was. I actually had no plans on running for office again. I had enough fun fighting the folks who fighting my own party time and time again. I came to Myrtle Beach because there was so much opportunity in this district. I had worked with people like Nanya Blasses that built unbelievable friendships and relationships. Look, folks, I'm the only person on this stage in the last 8 years who's canvassed this district. I know it better than anybody. I was here working with the sheriff's office, giving out blankets and fans when there was no election. Doc, I was at your birthday party when there was no election. I was here working for the party again when there was no election. I've been here when you didn't. I didn't need to be here. I was here because I wanted to better South Carolina, and I love the PD. So I would ask business owners that I came here and helped. When I went to Taiwan and worked with Nanya to make sure they stayed here, we don't want another Procter & Gamble where they leave. We need to keep everybody here we can, and you don't want to forget about them. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm proud I'm here, and I can tell you, you will never find somebody who will work harder for this district than the man that's answering this question right now. Thank you for the question, Tim.
Mr. Rice.
Yes, sir.
Regulation everywhere. We tried to build roads. Florence has a penny on the bill, much needed infrastructure to get these projects over a year behind schedule because of environmental and regulatory issues and delayed tactics by the Corps of Engineers. Highway 31 in Horry County is being delayed for the same issues. We're taking perfectly good farmland and turning it into swampland to mitigate the effects of building new roads. The additional costs of these projects is staggering to the public. These roads are being built to ensure the safety and convenience of the public. What will you do to provide some sanity in the decision-making process in Washington as regards our environmental issues?
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying. We are facing a number of issues in Horry County. Highway 31 is just one. Needless delays. We moved the intersection of Highway 31 and 707 north, less than a quarter of a mile, had to go back and get a new permit, and the Army Corps of Engineers said, oh, by the way, that section of 31 that you built 8 years ago, we think you might have destroyed too many wetlands and not mitigated enough. We want you to go back and resurvey that, and we'll see you in 15 months. Needless delays cost millions upon millions of dollars. And it actually affects our American competitiveness. You know, you wonder why you see all these jobs marching overseas. when it's so hard to open the